Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast. My name is Andrew Hasley, and I'm the host of the show. Today we have on Robert Kittridge with Focus Point Solution.
There you go.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about what your business is and about what you do?
Well, that's an interesting kind of question, because right now with COVID, with like everybody's doing in business, somewhat of a pivot. Some classify me as a coach, some classify me as a mentor, some classify me as a guide. But really what I do is work with individuals and teams to find who they truly are. We'll talk a little bit more about that if we get into it, our design.
For sure.
And then operate in alignment with that design. And what I do is help people focus on your design and living in alignment with it.
Okay.
That's the crux of kind of what I do. It's been an interesting little pivot over the last year.
And what was it before the pivot?
Well, so for since 2011, I've classified myself as a leadership trainer.
Okay.
I was a John Maxwell coach, actually a founding member with the John Maxwell team.
Really? Okay.
I was actually a faculty member with the John Maxwell team. And so a lot of what I did was leadership, like a lot of folks do. One of the realizations I found is we can't teach leadership.
Oh, you're born a leader.
I don't know. Are we?
I don't know. Yeah.
Right. And there's the old thing. Are leaders born or made? My answer is yes.
Yeah, a little bit of both, huh?
And when you peel back where this leadership, where we are right now trying to teach leadership, it really is teaching content. Okay?
Content or content?
Content.
Okay.
Right? We take, and again, I love John Maxwell. I love being part of the John Maxwell team. His books are awesome. His teachings are awesome. But what I saw a lot of times is, why weren't people doing what they said they wanted to do, or even what was the content we were teaching, the steps, the program, the plans, all of that kind of thing would get to a certain point and then they'd stop, or they'd go backwards, or the team would disintegrate, or and over the last 7 months, what I was exposed to was a whole different modality that is now really teaching me about the how to say this, the levels of people. So where we are, like for over the past 2011, 2012, I worked in DISC. Have you heard of DISC? So it's behavior. Driving forces is what we do, or why we do what we do. So if we think about a pyramid or a iceberg, the tip above the water is behavior. Right?
Okay.
It's observable. We can see it. And it's what most employers and most people want to change. You and I were talking before, right? Behavior. I'd really like to do this, but I got to focus on that, right? Those kind of things. But behavior is the smallest part of who we are.
Interesting.
If we were to pull back and look below the waterline, there's different levels from the right under the waterline is called driving forces. It's what motivates us. Then emotional intelligence and, workplace acumen and what's called world acumen. It's how we make our decisions through our intrinsic, extrinsic, and systemic values.
Okay.
Really below the waterline. In the what I call, some people call it unconscious, I call it other than conscious.
Okay.
My mentor has taught me the difference in that. And that's what drives us. And what I found is down below that is actually how we're designed. It's called human design.
Yeah, I was about to ask you about the design piece. Yeah.
It is how we're designed at a cellular level, in my words, by God. Whatever your faith is, whatever that is we've been designed unique and perfect. Right? You get that? Unique and perfect. And
is that juxtaposition?
Boy, interesting question, right? Is if you think about this, and my concept is we're born whole and complete. Right? We are born whole and complete, resourced for everything in which we're created, our purpose. And I'm going to jump around here a little bit if that's okay.
For sure, yeah.
But I trust you to bring it back. I know you do. Is purpose is not what we do. Think about how many speakers out there, how many classes, how many courses are trying to teach you your purpose or let you find your purpose. Our purpose is who we are, not what we do. And when we find who we are, then we can figure out what to do
Nice.
in line with that purpose, in line with our design.
Okay.
And so I talked about we're born whole and complete, resourced in every way. So we're born complete, but not finished.
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. Think about a baby is born complete, right? You're holding a baby and it's born complete. It's an explorer. It's it's designed to go into the world and explore. But do you know by the time that a baby is a year old, studies show that it's told the word no over 400 times a day.
By the time it's how old?
A year.
A year? 400 times a day? Oh, wow.
Think about what that does. So that's called conditioning. So we're open, we're whole, we're complete, but we're conditioned for failure.
Okay.
So let's talk about business. We come into a business. You want to run a business. You're doing something, you're going, you have this desire, you have this stuff, but you maybe get to a certain level or you can't get past a certain plateau. Has nothing to do with the equipment that you have in this room. Has nothing to do with your mindset. Again, people are teaching mindset. It really has to do, what I'm finding, is about your design.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to explore more of that design and, I think you were saying what was the part about the purpose part?
So purpose is not what we do. Purpose is who we are.
I want to figure that out and dive into that more. But first, we're going to roll the intro music, and then we'll figure that out.
Fantastic.
All right. This is a show where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who are mostly in Colorado Springs doing things in the community of Colorado Springs. One of our sponsors for the day is Atmos Planning. Atmos Planning is changing the way business owners and real estate investors are served by the financial services industry. They take an innovative approach with their personal CFO model to help visionaries maximize their net worth, impact, and quality of life. On top of all that, their clients typically save 20 to 30% in taxes, even if they are already working with a CPA or bookkeeper. If you have a goal to reach $1 million in revenue or more, a $1 million plus real estate portfolio, or even $1 million plus in after-tax profit while making an impact on the people around you, then schedule a call today. Their website is atmosplanning.com, ATMOS planning.com. But yeah, that's fantastic. That was a great way to open the show, man. I really want to dig a little deeper in that, so how do you help people find that design, I guess?
Yeah, it's basically, it's a modality, just like anything, like a learning modality. And I basically have a software that it deals with three things: your birth day, your birth time, and your birth location.
Okay. So location matters?
Location matters.
Okay.
Simply because, and I may go a little mystic here on you and a little bit out of the box, right? Is we are bombarded right now, as you and I are sitting here, we are bombarded with what's called neutrinos, like the sun and the planet and everything. And it's actually now been proven that it is matter, but it's like but the time we're born, that's when our personality comes into. Okay. So the date, the time, and the location depends on where you are.
Yeah, because if you were born in 1756, you're going to be way different than 1956.
Yes. And dude. Right. And the whole point of that right there is we're mutating as human beings.
Yeah, constantly.
We're constantly. We don't see it, but until you start to look back at this whole human design thing and see how we've mutated over time, it's really, and then what's cool is now to look forward and see where we're going. And the world right now is mutating. Society is mutating. Everything is mutating. So what I do in my business then is, how do we figure out who you are? Your uniqueness. Like, there's only one of Andrew. Only one.
Yeah.
Right? If you think about the chance of you being born out of all of the stuff, really the chance is zero. I mean, you have overcome astronomical odds.
Like 56 trillion to 1 or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you think about the sperm count and what it takes to get into the egg. And then if you think about your parents, what was the chance they got together? And then the I mean, really, the odds are staggering. So for you and I to be sitting here.
Yeah, that's even more staggering.
It's more staggering for you and I to meet.
Yeah.
But I believe there's a purpose for that.
Okay.
And that's part of that. For me now, what's happened with me is being able to operate in my design, align with my design, and start to peel away the conditioning of the world. And conditioning is a human experience.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. It's not good. It's not bad. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
It's when we're making our decisions and choices from that conditioning versus from ourselves, from our true selves. That's where life changes, is when we can make that what's correct for us.
And where do we define conditioning? When does that start? Does that start even before we even are alive?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, right. Think about it. When you're born, your parents get you. My daughter's going through, she's expecting a child in May. And she's looking at how to parent, how she's been parented, right? And how but she's looking up on natural things and water birth and all these kind of things. Think about a baby's born. What's the first thing that comes out? They slap their ass, immediate trauma.
They slap their ass?
Well, think about it. That's how they do it, right? They get them to cry. They used to anyway, right?
Yeah, see, I haven't had a kid, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, I've delivered a few of them in my time as a fire, right? But you want them to cry right away. They come from this safe environment, the womb, into this world, and all of a sudden they're subjected to trauma. Conditioning.
Yeah, yeah.
And then your parents, and they loved you no matter what, they loved us, they wanted the best for us, start to parent us through what they think is right for us. It may not be.
For sure.
It may not be. Now,
so if your design is, if you're born complete, what if you're the type of person to really resist that? Is that a possibility? I mean, if you're born complete, does that mean that you have certain traits that are more resistant to that conditioning?
Yes. Oh, exactly. But we at that age don't know that. Right?
Yeah.
We don't have the intellectual faculties. So what happens, if you think about this, and I'll share a little bit of my story, right, is that I've done some work that I actually have went back and brought up a memory of 18 months. I was 18 months old in a crib watching my mom and my real father argue about me and how I wasn't wanted. So, open vessel, that's put in, you make up a story. And then we start to live that story. So most of my life, I lived through trying to prove myself. Like, please want me, please want me, please want me, please want me.
For sure, for sure.
Right? So that's conditioning. So conditioning comes from our parents, our grandparents, our friends, our family, the music you listen to, the news media. What do you read? And as a child, until you're 7 to 8 to 9 to 10, somewhere in there, depends, when you can start to develop the intellectual faculties of reasoning, of those kind of things, you just accept everything. You don't know any better. You don't know any better.
Yeah.
And as it goes into the conscious mind, it goes through into the other unconscious mind, and we make up stories. Mine was, I wasn't wanted. And then you later on go to school, I was not the typical student. I didn't fit the educational system. I didn't take notes the way that they taught me to take note. Those things for me, I didn't feel like I fit in. So what did it do? It layered on some more conditioning. I pulled back. I didn't get involved in the world. I had an incident where I was told I would never make a difference in the world. Now, did I believe it at the time? I didn't have an option. Authority figure, emotional impact, I made up a story or another layer of conditioning.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we don't know what our design is. And then when you find that out, then you can start to peel back this layering.
You can't even know what your design is unless you do the work, because so much conditioning. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. Yeah. Think about it. How many people, that's why the personal growth self-improvement industry is a what? How many $1 trillion industry? People are looking. Do you have a good book for me? Do you have a podcast?
Yeah.
Do you have? We're always looking for outside input. When in reality, we know what's correct for us.
Interesting.
We're just not taught to follow that.
Is there good conditioning?
Oh, yeah. Well, and I don't think of things as good and bad.
Okay.
All right. That's something I've done in my leadership journey.
Okay.
Really was to start to let go of that. Because if you think about good and bad as judgment,
For
right?
sure.
We're not meant to judge. We do. It's part of the human experience. It's part of what we're taught to do. But what happens if we switch that from good and bad to effective or ineffective? You want to talk about a mind shift, just 2 degrees.
I like it. Yeah.
Right?
So there's effective conditioning.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Conditioning is conditioning. Some has served you, some not so much.
Would you say that, trying to figure out the design is slightly conditioning? Effective? Like, is it effective? Is it conditioning? Yeah. Maybe we were getting into semantics, so.
Yeah. Well, how many people are trying to search for who they are?
A lot, I think. I mean, a lot more than what they usually used to be.
How many? Well, and we'll talk about that in a minute too, right? How many people do you see looking for their own self-worth? How many people?
I think not many, actually. I think there's a growing thing of that, but maybe I think a lot of people just live their lives. They go to work. They just do what they got to do because they're told to do it, essentially.
Bingo. Conditioning. Right? You're told to do what? Go to school, get a job, raise a family, and maybe that's not right for you. Maybe that's not right for you.
For sure.
And once you figure that out, then you can start to operate in alignment what's correct for you. And I kind of joke about this, but think about Facebook, right? I know you're there, I'm there. I've really cut back from posting. I just kind of watch. But how many people like, I'm going to paint my bathroom. What do people think I should paint my bathroom? It's your bathroom.
Yeah.
But you notice how we're taught to go outside of ourselves for the answer. So what I do is I help people focus on their design and learn how to process their correct through your perfect.
For sure.
And I had a guy the other day and we were talking about this. He goes, well, we're not perfect. We're imperfect beings. And he had this whole thing, which typically comes from a religious teaching, right? Our imperfection and not good or bad, not here to stir up controversy on that, but just conditioning is what happens if we get that we are perfect. Now, our actions may not be, but we are. We are. And maybe, what if, you've seen me post some of those what ifs, what if our imperfection action comes from following the outer conditioning versus what we feel is right for us, what we know is right for us? So
perfect. And this is just me trying to understand things.
Yep, that's good.
And I don't want to get too deep in semantics, but what I'm gathering is perfect is based on what you decide. Is that what we're is perfect based on your view of perfect?
Great question. Yes and no.
Okay.
Duality there, right?
For sure.
Another part of the human experience is duality. Is look at you. You're perfect.
Well, thank you.
You are perfect. You're created. Your heart's beating. Your lungs are right. You are a perfect creation. Now, and I'm sure when you look yourself in the mirror in the morning, you may go, "Oh, I wish my nose was or my eye." That's conditioning. That's conditioning. You are perfect. The exact way you're created, perfect and unique. There's only one of you. There's only one of me.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Now, how do we move with that thought?
It's perfectly splendid.
I call it perfectly delicious.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Does that help?
I think so. Yeah.
And I love what you said. If we can accept that we are perfect. Now, again, our actions may not be. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. That's why once you get involved in this human design world, it's called an experiment.
You can stop beating yourself up if you think that way, you know. You can actually, it feels like a relief, like, you know, it's perfect, you know, I'm perfect, you know. So that I think can at least allow you to relax, allow you to feel good about yourself instead of, you know, bad about things that maybe you've done or maybe you have lacked to have done. And yes, so I do like that idea because it's already making me feel relaxed.
Well, and I can, you know, I'm sitting across from you and watching you as you start to explain that. You sat up. I mean, you sat up.
Yeah.
And like, I like, huh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But get that you've been conditioned to think otherwise.
And then so once you start thinking in that way, you can move on to more deeper work? Okay. Always through
your what's called strategy and authority. So one of the things transformation for me is, and you've known me for a while, is that I've always kind of been a social guy, a gadabout, right? I've been networking events, if you, for sure, you know. And you're still really good at, you know, you actually go in and you comment on people's posts. I see that too. You know, I see it in the social media sphere as well. But here's what I realized. I did that to attract attention to me.
Okay.
And that's part of my design, is that's what's called a not self behavior.
Okay.
I don't need to attract attention to me.
Yeah.
And if you've noticed, and again, we haven't been back live now for some things that are in person, is what I do now is when I'm very choosy what networking events I participate with. And when I do, when 1 million cups before this last shutdown, if you noticed, I'd go in and I was just now sitting in the back.
Yeah, for sure.
And what that did was the people that wanted, I would attract the ones that wanted versus me searching out. And that was a shift for me to work in alignment with who I'm designed to be. Still a social being, still a great person to make connection. It's part of my design. It's about making connection. But now what I figured out is I'm not meant to initiate, I'm meant to respond. Okay.
I like that. I think that might align with me too as well. Actually, it gives me anxiety to initiate a little bit.
Yeah. And that's, and again, but we're taught to do what? Boy, Andrew, if you're going to make this thing, you got to get out there and get moving. You got to market yourself. And we were talking about how are you marketing your business? How are you doing that? For me, what I figured out is I stopped doing Facebook Lives. I stopped trying to do all these posts of, hey, look at me, look at what I'm doing. And I figured that, you know, I'm going to talk about what I'm doing in different things, and those that are willing, I will attract.
Okay. Yeah.
Versus, and I can respond to versus me out selling. And I've been in sales most of my life.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, does that make that clear?
Yeah, I think so. So what about, your business? What's the model behind it? How do you grow your business? How do you grow while staying in alignment too?
Well, and again, that's been a shift. Is when I realized that I was not in alignment, I resigned from the John Maxwell team as a faculty member. Okay. I resigned from 1 Million Cups as a coordinator. Yeah. I moved back from all of those things, right, that were not in alignment. Now I can say, okay, let me bring back in things that are in alignment. Okay. And that's what I'm doing with my business right now is my program coming up, and I'm working on this. Yes. Right? And so this is the first time we're talking about it. It's called I'm Awake, Now What? People are awakening. There's an awakening going on in the world. You said most people live most of their life really asleep. They get up in the morning, they do the same thing every morning, they get their coffee, they go to work, they come home, they're unsatisfied. They get up the next morning, they go to work. And if
you think about that kind of lifestyle is very new to the human condition, I think. The get up, go to work, get up, do this. And, well, I guess if you think about slavery, there's that whole aspect. But I'm talking about like the Industrial Revolution, like where the whole world kind of got into that. And then I think, you know, there's kind of a disconnect with that.
Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome, man. Well, you're going places I didn't even think right?
Nice, yeah.
So that is exactly right. We've been conditioned to be workers. The Industrial Revolution. to go get a job, that kind of thing. We've been conditioned for that. That's not who some of us are. Some of us are designed to be workers.
For sure, yeah.
Some of us are designed to be guides. Some of us are designed, in each profile that's in the human design system depends with that how you then do your work or your living.
And you know, the people, like you say, are designed to be workers. They actually find happiness in that. And if you're not designed, you're going to be miserable, I assume.
Well, how many people look at our health right now, the status of our health? How many people are unhappy at work? How many people drink too much? How many people are overweight? How many people, right? All of that body, that is your body saying you're not living in alignment. A lot of that is, excuse me, a lot of that is we're not in line with, we're not doing what's in line with our purpose. We're not living that which is our purpose.
For sure.
And that's, you know, for me, I was 270 some odd pounds in 2016, high blood pressure, borderline diabetes. And I've realized now, that for, 60 years of my life have not been in alignment with who I am.
You've been around for 60?
I'm 61.
Oh, nice.
Just turned 61. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And that's what's happening now is that people are starting to go, and it's, you know, midlife crisis, right? We get to that point where like, and a lot of my clients are kind of in that age range. They've worked most of their life, that kind of thing. Back to the business model side is, and all of a sudden they're looking around going, is this all there is? What? Isn't there supposed to be more? So some of my clients are like that I'm working with them, get their design. And then I've got coaching packages. So what we do is once we reveal who you are, then we can talk about coaching. Okay. Right. And we can touch a little bit about coaching and mentoring and teaching as some modalities too.
For sure.
Then I can coach you through your design versus me having something to say, well, here, Andrew, here's what you should do to build your business.
That might work, you know, may not, you know.
Outer authority versus inner authority.
I'm going to put a pin in that for a second. Our next sponsor is Vehement Visuals, my video production company. At Vehement Visuals, we really help business owners grow and save time using the power of strategic video production. We don't just want to make a pretty video for you, we want to actually get results, and we are determined to make sure that happens. We separate ourselves from videographers because we are here to serve businesses and business owners to really help them make an even bigger impact with what they do. If you'd like to schedule a strategy call today to see how we can possibly help you, then go to vehementvisuals.com and fill out the form at the bottom of the page. Pull that pen out so you can you make sure that you figure out design first before you even try to tell anyone what to do, or is that what you even do?
That's not exactly. So okay,
yeah.
Business model. Many of the coaches, and I know some great ones out there. So if you think about it, there's three modalities: teaching, mentoring, and coaching. Okay. Teaching is, I've got material, I've got content, let me give it to you. Blah. Yeah. I'm the expert, here's what you should do. Our educational system. Yes. Typically. A lot of the personal growth and development system. I go out, I get on a podcast, I listen to what Brandon Burchard's doing, or I listen to somebody like that, I'm going to go do that.
That's teaching.
That's teaching.
Okay.
One-way communication. It's also the bottom of transformation.
So the bottom, what does that mean?
Well, the bottom of, that's the lowest level of transformation. Okay. So mentoring is, I've had experience, I've owned a business, I've been successful, I've been unsuccessful. I'm going to work with you to look at your business model, and I'm going to share things with you that I've done for you to maybe put in place. A little bit of teaching, but now it's an experience base. I'm mentoring you. You're going to go try it. You're going to come back to me. I'm going to go, yeah, that really didn't work. Let's try this. So there's a mentoring piece. Okay. Second level of transformation, because now you're kind of doing it. Third level is true coaching. Coaching is, I ask great questions, so you come up with the answer that's right for you.
Yeah, which is coming from that design.
Coming from the inner authority.
Inner authority, I like that, yeah.
Right? Now, danger, opportunity. Danger is, most people they're not brought up like that. They're either been told what to do, teaching, they've been mentored.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely have they really went inside and said, here's what's correct for me.
Mm-hmm.
They feel it in their body, not their mind. The mind is never our inner authority. Our
How do we know if the inner authority is right?
It's part of your design. That's what I do in my coaching.
Okay.
So the platform I use is we figure that out. We get you at least into the experiment to start playing with your design. And it's just that. It's a play with. It's an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And the designer of this, the creator of this, said it takes 7 years. If you dive into a design and you start into the experiments, it takes 7 years to start to really peel away the layers of conditioning, because our body regenerates our cells. Every 7 years, every cell in our body regenerates. And where you are right now, everything you've been conditioned is at a cellular level.
Mm-hmm.
You've been told so many times, and they're now showing that past generations' cellular trauma, those things also pass on to us.
Epigenetics.
Epigenetics,
Yeah.
Exactly. So a great book on that is It Didn't Start With You. I don't know if you've read that book yet, but that's great about generational trauma.
Mm-hmm.
How something that happened to our grandparents or our great-grandparents, we could be feeling.
And that whole idea of that is fascinating to me. Like, it's crazy that like, because it seems, very, very metaphysical kind of stuff, but we've actually been able to, like, use science to prove that.
Absolutely. And that's the cool part about all this stuff that's been metaphysical, or some people call it woo-woo, right?
Yeah, woo-woo.
Those kind of things, is now being scientifically proven.
Yeah.
Right? So when we come back to it, our mind is not our inner authority.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, so Andrew, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? So why don't you go think about that? Let's go think. Our body is our inner authority. For some, it's spleen. For some, it's sacral. For some, it's emotional. And that's revealed in the human design. What is your inner authority?
Mm-hmm.
And then working with that. Mine really is emotional. Now, I've been taught men don't what? Men don't cry.
Mm-hmm.
Men don't show emotions. 30 years in the fire service. Don't you step up and you be flat. You're not supposed to show emotions at a fire scene, where all of that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Conditioning.
And it has its utility. It has its use.
It absolutely, everything has its use, right? Effective or ineffective.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Yeah, not good or bad, ineffective or ineffective. But for me, I have suppressed my emotions for so long. Right? Emotions, energy in motion. So if we think about that, what goes into the conscious goes into the other conscious, which generates energy. Emotions actually then makes us take action.
Mm-hmm.
If we suppress that emotion, we don't know what the right emotion is for us for a certain design. Not every design has this. For me, it's that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest things, when I said mine is to respond. That's my strategy. And there's no truth in the now. How long have you been dropping hints for me to be in here?
Just for a while.
Right.
Just,
I had to feel into it.
Yeah, for sure.
I had to make sure that it felt right for me to be here.
Yeah.
Now before I would have said, "Oh, let's go. When are we, are you on next week?"
Yeah, for sure.
Because I would have followed that whoop, right? That some call it intuition, but that inspiration of, yep, that's good for me.
Mm-hmm. As
I've looked back my design, most of those things I followed at spur of the moment are the ones that got me in trouble.
Oh, interesting. I'm pretty impulsive myself. I don't know if that's what you're saying, but
impulsive.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for.
But
so thank you.
I am, I do just, I have an idea and I jump on it, or I just get an opportunity, I jump on it. Sometimes I'm reluctant, but yeah.
And for some people, that's their authority.
For sure.
For some people.
Mm-hmm. Did you think that was your authority?
Well, I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know? Okay.
This is totally, when I was introduced to this in June of 2020,
okay,
right in the middle of COVID and everything else, was introduced to it, rocked my world.
Okay.
Absolutely upset everything I knew or thought I knew about me.
Interesting.
Everything.
It woke you up a little bit, huh?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So back to my business model. People are coming in. We decide I've got a couple different things. I'm actually going to try to do a package or a program that's called I'm awake. Now what?
Yeah, yeah.
Because when we wake up, whether it's through trauma, whether it's through a coaching friend of mine had COVID, and really, I mean, it was an awakening for her.
Mm-hmm.
It has absolutely changed the way she looks at everything. Some of us have those instances.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us don't.
I almost got hit by a car a week ago, and it kind of like I think it was like my first near-death experience.
Yeah.
And it kind of was like, whoa, I've always had this fear of death, and it kind of like shook that whole fear up, you know. It was weird.
Yeah, and some of us do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
Others don't. You know, mine, the whole history is mine started in 1982 in the back of a police car.
Okay.
Nothing major. It was really actually pretty stupid.
Okay.
But sitting in the back of that police car, I realized there was something inside of me
Mm-hmm.
said, this is not where you belong. And that's when I started reading. That's when I started to get in the
And by
person.
this, not just referring to the police car, but referring to your whole...
Oh, my
everything.
God. Right. I lived in Boulder at the time, and that was in the 80s. So kind of an interesting time in Boulder. Drugs, alcohol. Really, if I look at it, a path of self-destruction.
For sure.
And as I layer on that, I don't matter and I won't make a difference, or I don't. So why would somebody that don't want to worry about being good?
Mm-hmm.
To see how that conditioning spins around in our mind.
Mm-hmm.
But when I can show you where that comes from your body, the different centers, the different stuff, then we can be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Carl Jung said, until we make the unconscious conscious, it'll control our life, and we'll call it fate.
Mm.
Most people operate out of the unconscious.
Yeah, you can make your own luck.
Absolutely.
Which is making your own fate, essentially.
Absolutely. But some designs aren't meant to manifest. There's this whole big manifestation surge going on right now. You know, you can manifest anything you want, put up the vision boards, put up the stuff, which is all good for some. But see how we try to take something and put over everyone.
What are they meant for if they're not meant for manifesting?
They're meant to operate in their strategy and authority.
Okay.
Whatever that is.
Okay.
For me, I'm not meant to manifest. I'm not a manifesting generator. I'm a generator, not a manifesting generator.
We talked, that was talked about at the Thought Leadership Summit with Alex.
Exactly, exactly. I'm meant to respond. Now, can I manifest out of responding? Absolutely. But I'm not meant to go out and manifest on my own.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what do you do then if that's not what you're meant to do?
Well, I respond.
Okay, yeah.
I go with the flow of life.
Okay. I like the flow, the kind of...
I go with the flow of life. I'm
a jellyfish.
I'm designed to go with the flow.
Okay.
But I've been conditioned and taught to survive, to fight, to... work hard, to life is hard, to, I don't know.
And that probably accumulated to you being overweight in 2016.
Because my body knew, it wasn't the right thing for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
But my mind didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, our mind is meant to make us survive.
How do you listen to your body?
Just feel it. Just be present to it.
Okay.
Just be present to it. And I've got some exercises I work with folks to do that with, but most people have no clue. They feel it.
So what if you're stressed out? What does that mean?
That you're not, well, so depending on your design, there's a not self theme, right? There's a not self theme. Mine is frustration.
Okay.
So when I feel frustrated, that's that's a signpost for me to step back and go, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I not in alignment with who I am?
Okay.
Most people just get stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
Most people just get frustrated. Most people just get bitter. Most people just get anger.
Yeah.
And then they try to handle that emotion without knowing. And they think, again, we're taught a lot of times to look at what caused it. Well, I was with Andrew, so he made me mad, or so we shuffle off that responsibility to somebody else versus what am I feeling? And if you're not designed, like if your emotional center, your solar plexus, what's called open and not defined, you not only send out emotion, you take in emotion from those around you, and you tend to amplify it. So if somebody around you is being angry or frustrated or I don't know, you'll take it and feel it. And most people go, oh, what am I so upset about? And then they go, oh, instead of going, is this mine or theirs?
Yes, that's good to analyze that.
Is this mine or theirs?
For sure. Someone flipped you off or cut you off, that energy transfers to you. And I guess you have to figure out how to deal with that.
You've got to, is this mine or yours? And really, life is just sweet right now. Now, are all my problems and issues and making money and are all that still there? Absolutely. None of that's gone away. I run a small business. I'm like every other small business owner affected by COVID, affected by everything else. But it's how do I respond to it versus react to it?
Yeah, that's where that quote that I posted on Facebook the other day was, your focus determines your reality.
Absolutely.
Because, if you're focusing on all the negative spots, then you're going to feel negative. And there's always both. So you can choose which one to focus on, I think. And that was the Star Wars quote.
And let's take it one step further. Focusing on that is the outer. What happens when we focus on inner authority? Where would you go then?
Well, what if I focus on the inner and I'm still feeling that negative?
Well, yeah. Where's the negative? So have you ever read Eckhart Tolle's, any of Eckhart Tolle's work?
Sounds familiar, though.
Another one is, I can't think of the author right now, but it was called Untethered Soul.
That sounds really familiar.
Okay. So Eckhart Tolle is all about the now, living in the now. There's no worry in the now. There's no anger in the now. There's no passion in the now. There's no, all of that there's no regret in the now.
It's all there, I think, and you can choose.
None of that's in the now.
Okay.
All of that is generated by the past or the future.
Okay.
If I'm feeling anxiety, typically that is me feeling about something in the future that I'm feeling I'm not resourced for. You want to be a bigger podcast. You want to take this to a different level. But you got to buy equipment. You got to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
All that's out here. It's not in the now. The now is right now. You and I are doing an amazing podcast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you're doing great work in this community.
Thank you.
That's the now. That's where to stay. How does that feel?
It feels good.
Yeah. So when you feel that, and I've got some exercises for that kind of thing, is come back. What does satisfaction feel like? What does success feel like? So when you start feeling that, you don't worry about the why. You come back to the feeling of satisfaction, success.
That gets me thinking about still the future, though.
I know, because we're programmed to think about what?
Success.
Success. And where does success happen? Typically, we're programmed success happens where?
I guess in the future.
Are you successful right now?
I think so. I am in lots of ways, and I am in not lots of ways too. So it's interesting.
Isn't that?
It's not as successful as I want it to be, I guess.
Okay. All right. Nothing wrong with that. But you notice how now you get to define it. So what would happen if we align your definition of success with your design? Not what somebody else is saying, what your business should look like. And that's where I think a lot of small business owners get caught up in this, is relying on what the experts are telling them the business should be, or how to market their business, or how to. All that's good information. And I'm not saying discount it and don't listen to it. What I'm saying is filter it through who you are and what's correct for you. There's a difference there.
How long does that take to filter something? Is it within a minute? Is it within an hour? I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Once you go back and learn how to trust your strategy and authority, could be, okay, yeah, let's do this. Could be, can you give me a week? Could be. So emotional defined people have an emotional wave they ride. And there's all kinds of different emotional waves. So it's learning your emotional wave. And then for me, what I found the best place for me to make hard choices is when there's no emotion, is where I feel nothing about it. Not a high, not a low.
And that's for you to make hard choices.
That's for me to make those. I'm learning that, right? And I've put that in place. I've had to make the small ones to get to figuring out, can I be on your podcast today? Yeah. Because now I'm trusting my body and the way it feels.
For sure.
I did something with a client the other day, and they automatically, you could just see them go, their body just reacted to the question. And then they started to think about it. Yeah, but what was the first reaction? My first reaction was no. Okay, great. Then that's probably your inner authority going, don't do that. But what are we taught to do with that? We're taught to suppress that. We're taught to stuff that, conditioned to do that. So it's all about trusting this great vessel, this great vehicle that God, right, the grand overall designer, I like to call, right, has designed for you and for me. You're going to make decisions and choices and stuff based differently than I will. And it's all dependent on this design that we have.
And see, that's where I asked that question earlier. I was, because as I'm asking these questions, I'm asking these questions based off of my own thoughts, my own experiences.
I know. I love it. Yeah.
And so I was thinking, how do we know to trust our body? What if it's wrong? Like, not wrong, what if it's just,
I love you catching yourself.
Yeah.
You notice how you're already, the concepts I'm giving you concepts, not right or wrong. I'm giving you concepts, and your mind is already going, and your body is even going, ooh.
Yeah.
Did you feel when you said?
Yeah.
Well, where did you feel that in your body?
I thought probably around here, I think.
When you start to say, well, what if it's wrong? And your body goes,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's how we learn how to trust our body.
I feel a lot of things back here in the center of my spine. That's where I feel things. That's where I feel stress. That's where I feel a lot of things. But yeah, so what if it's not necessarily wrong, but what if it's misled? What if it
like if it doesn't turn out the way you'd hoped?
What if you listen to the body and I guess it doesn't turn out the way you hoped, I guess?
What if that's the way it was supposed to turn out?
Yeah, true that. Okay.
Right? What are we taught about failure? What's our conditioning that we're taught about failure? Think about it in school.
We're taught it's bad.
Yeah.
But it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good. Gary Vaynerchuk has helped me learn that actually. How failure is like the best thing.
Do you know that's how we're designed? Think about a child starts to crawl, starts to walk.
Yeah.
Starts to. Do you ride a bicycle?
Not currently.
Yeah, but you have.
I want one.
So when did you learn how to ride a bicycle? How old were you?
Around 5, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you want to learn how to ride a bicycle?
Probably because my brother was riding a bicycle.
Okay, so there was a desire there.
Yeah.
Right? So did you ride his bike? Did they help you get a bike?
Training wheels.
Training wheels. And then what did you do? You got the training wheels on, and then what did you do?
My stepdad took them off, and I was scared.
And what happened?
I fell.
What did you learn?
I don't know what I learned.
Okay.
I learned probably ways that gravity works.
Yes. Without him teaching you how gravity works, you learned balance.
Yes.
The only way for you to learn balance was to not be balanced.
Yes.
That's how this learning process works for us. But we're taught, don't you? And especially as business owners.
I was about to say, I'm kind of feel like I fell off my bike in business terms, if we're using a metaphor. And I love these. I didn't mean to cut you off either.
No, you're good. You're good. No, this is good. I love this.
And I think I just typed to a friend last night. I think I really love this part of the game, and because I think that's where like the real lessons are learned and the diamonds are forged. Essentially, I guess you could say. And so, I'm kind of in a bad position. Like where I'm at business wise, in which it's odd to say that because just 2 months ago I had my best month. So it's like, what the heck's going on, man? I fell off my bike. That's what happened.
All right. Can we chase that a little bit? Are you open to chase it?
Okay. I am, yeah.
So I heard you say you're in a bad position. What makes it a bad position? And you don't have to share all the details.
For sure. Well,
what makes
just financially speaking.
Okay, so financially. So you are measuring your business success by how much money you have in the bank, right? That's a conditioning.
For sure.
Think about that. Have you made an impact in this city?
I think I have.
Have there been business owners that have been on this, that have been able to get their business out? And
yes. I actually have a good testament of how someone landed a huge deal because they went and watched his episode and he was like, oh no, they watched that episode because he was like, he didn't know that I didn't edit anything. And like, they actually loved him for his authenticity in that episode.
So you're successful.
I think so, yeah.
You notice how you keep coming back to, I think so.
Yes, I did notice that. Right when I said it, I noticed it.
So what's happening with you is that conditioning is coming in going, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, okay, I got you. Yeah, man, here's this whole thing. And he's got this whole testimony. Yeah, but what happens?
I'm afraid of drowning, I think.
Okay. So
that's the scary part, and it's making me feel not successful. Yeah.
How long's this podcast?
Yeah, we're really going deep in this. I love it.
Okay. So you've heard of law of attraction. So one of my favorite authors, James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. Have you ever read that book? It's just a really small little book. He's an author in the 1800s, really great. But the basis is we attract what we think about, that which we love and desire, and that which we secretly fear.
We attract that too.
We attract that too.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to the Star Wars quote, our focus determines our reality.
Absolutely. So you have this thing that you're not as successful as you want to be. But you're a success.
And then it's funny because my mind instantly, I'll say it too out loud, is like, in some ways, is what my mind instantly says.
Yeah. So if you're perfect so if you live through this, right, you move past today through I'm perfect. And people are going to say, well, that's arrogant. That's wow, you can't be right. Okay, awesome. Love you. That's what I do anyway. Thanks. My favorite phrase is thanks for your thoughts. Appreciate it.
For sure.
But before I would take those in, right? So you're perfect and you're successful right now, today. What would happen to your mindset? Could you release that you're not as successful as you'd hoped, or you're not? Because our other unconscious mind does not know the difference between like is and not. So I don't want to be fat. All it hears is I want fat.
For sure.
I don't want to be broke. So guess what it gives you? Broke.
And so this kind of goes to the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And if those aren't being fulfilled, can you even think that? Like,
so are you surviving?
I am surviving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you lived most of your life through survival?
All of it.
And I don't know much of you, right? I don't know much of you before you came to Colorado Springs and everything else.
It's been basically survival my whole life since I was...
Right, exactly. So you're living in exactly your conditioning. So when will you start thriving?
I don't know.
When you give up surviving.
Okay.
Just a thought. Take that on. When you're hanging on to surviving.
Can you still be thriving? I'm just thinking of, like, you know, some people that I see on the streets, you know, in their minds, are they, not them, I can't say anything for anyone, but I mean, is that possible for someone to be homeless and thriving?
I don't know. Have you asked them?
I haven't.
What's surviving and thriving? Whose definition?
It's the outside perspective's definition. It's the social norm who defines that, I guess you'd say.
That's right. That's right. It's the conditioning of society to say those people are not successful.
Or not thriving.
Or not thriving.
So, what if you feel like you're not thriving?
Well, you're probably not.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
That's your focus. And guess what the universe is giving you?
Non-thriving.
And again, not right or wrong. Just a concept. What if? What if right now this is thriving for you?
Wow. I like that. Yeah.
What if right now this is thriving for you?
We started this conversation about an hour ago, and some things are just clicking an hour into it. It's crazy. The whole design thing just hit me on a different level, I think. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, so we'll probably start wrapping this up. We don't want to make it too long.
Okay.
I would love to continue the conversation. I'm enjoying it. Usually only the conversations that make it almost to an hour are the ones that I'm like, so into. But I'm into all of the conversations. I'm not trying to say that.
I know, you're great. You're great. All your guests are awesome, and this program is, or I wouldn't, and I don't mean, right, well, let me back up. If I didn't think this had value, Andrew, I wouldn't be in this seat.
For sure.
And it has value because of you and what you're doing for this community.
Thank you.
I want you to get that.
Yeah.
You received that?
I do. I received that. Yeah. So, I guess we could start wrapping this up. Is there anything else you'd like to say or promote or let people know?
Yeah, I mean, if you'd like, if your listeners would like to, if you go to free gift from Robert.com, there's an assessment there, a questionnaire. You can look at the 10 things on sabotaging your life. And then if you choose to, I've got a special that you can do your human design and see what that looks like on there. And I would absolutely love to. My goal is, and think about this, Andrew. Think what society and the world would be like if we lived through our inner authority, what's correct for us in our uniqueness. And what would happen with the world when we're all doing that? Where would hate go? Where would diversity go? Right? Because I think we can have diversity through uniqueness. We can't have all in one. We're not all in one.
Yeah.
Why, that's a whole different conversation on diversity, right? But we're all unique. How do we take that uniqueness now and come together as a power in our uniqueness? You do what you good, I do what I good, for a common goal, for a creation, not to fix something.
Okay, sweet. Well, this has been a great conversation, man. I'm glad you came on the show.
Me too.
It's been a long time in the making. I think when I reached out to you originally, it was before I even had the office.
It was before you had the studio. You had just started.
Yeah, I walked up to you at Million Cups, and believe it or not, you were actually still sitting in the back before this June.
And it just didn't feel right for me then.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So sweet. I did approach you though. I remember I walked up to you and I was like, hey. So yeah, it's been great. It's been a pleasure to have known you for the time that we've known each other, and it's been a pleasure having you on this show. So
absolutely, yeah. And my website is robertkittridge.com, or people can send me just an email at robert@focuspointsolution.com.
All right, sounds good.
All right,
and that just shut off, so that was perfect. That was perfect timing.
That was good.
If you'd like me to read an ad script at the beginning of every episode, or in the middle, or at the end, promoting your business, then reach out to cosbusinesspodcast@gmail.com, or reach out to me directly, Andrew Hasley.